What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fully Spooled. My name is Jeff, and last episode, which was my 2018 update episode, I talked about doing the wiring harness install for the LS swap into my SC here. And I've decided with my current work schedule, which is 12 hours a day, every day, it's just a non-stop grind-a-thon, and I'm sure I look exhausted because I am exhausted. I don't have time to do the wiring harness for this episode, and I wanted to get an episode out and online for everybody. So I wanted to tackle something a bit, hopefully faster and simpler, and that is the throttle cable for the LS swap into the ST chassis. And to do that, I'm going to use this Lokar install or throttle cable installation kit. And this is a pretty standard cable kit that people use to install the LS engine into all kinds of different chassis and stuff. So hopefully this will go pretty smoothly. So the parts I'm going to use for this are the Lokar TC1000 LS1 kit right here, and this is just the cable that goes from the gas pedal up to the throttle body. And I have this bracket as well because you have to have some kind of bracket to hold the cable and up by the throttle body. And LS1 engines and a couple other ones have two little holes here on the side of the intake for a little bracket to go, but because I have an LS2 intake, it doesn't have those little holes. So I went and got this bracket, which will actually sit like this and will bolt on to these two holes right here. And that's going to be my kind of solution to getting this cable installed. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. By the way, of course, as always, both of the links to these pieces will be in my description below, and they are Amazon links, so I will make a little bit of affiliate money if you buy these. Well, like most jobs on this car, this is my first time doing a throttle cable like this, so I'm going to have to be learning as I go. So you can just learn along with me. Hopefully it goes smoothly. Not a great start. There we go. Okay, it's out. Step one. Well, let's do the bracket first because that's super easy, and then I'll figure out how to get the cable hooked up to it. So the directions say this thing goes right like this, and there's one washer which goes apparently under here. I guess it's to kind of lift up the front part of the bracket, but it should go, I guess, like that. And then we just reinstall the intake bolts. Super simple. Alright, well that was pretty easy. There's the bracket installed, although something tells me that that was the easy part of this. The throttle cable will go through a hole down there in the firewall somewhere, which I can't even see from this angle. So I think if I go around inside the car, if I can get this thing to focus, there should be a hole up here, and it's covered in tape. That tape is there from when I painted the engine bay, so that was a year ago. I'm going to pull the tape off and then get the side of the throttle cable hooked up to the top of the pedal there, and then go through that hole into the engine bay. Here we got all the parts that we need to do this. We have the new Lokar cable right here. And then, of course, we have our factory gas pedal assembly, and then the factory cable, and this is the bracket that goes to the firewall. So what we need to do is actually save this part of the factory piece, because this is going to have to go right inside of this little piece right here. So this is what used to go around the gas pedal right here, kind of more or less like this. Is kind of how that used to go on the factory gas pedal. So we need to do the same thing with the new throttle cable. So we just need to salvage these two pieces right here. So I'm going to cut the factory cable and then pull those pieces off. And then we also have to keep this little piece right here, because this is going to bolt to our factory bracket on the firewall. And then this new cable will go through the hole in here, and trust me, it'll all make sense. Just follow along. So first we need to cut the factory cable. Gosh, I hope this is the right thing. We're going to cut this cable to get these two pieces off. If I can do it. These old shears. Alright, so these pieces we need to hang on to. Second, we need to take off this little piece here on the end of the Lokar cable, and we use a little provided Allen wrench to do that. So there should be a little... No, other side. So that comes off, and now we can slide these guys out, and we're just going to pull this all the way out. Now we have our bushing and our clip, and we will just run the cable, the Lokar cable, right through both of those. Just like that. Perfect. And then we'll just run that right back through the way it came out. Just like this. So now for this side, which goes into the firewall, the idea here is that we need to save this piece right here, because where the factory cable goes through right here, we're going to put our Lokar cable through there. This part bolts to the firewall, and we need to keep that intact. So I've got to cut this side of this piece off and kind of cut it down as much as I can, so it's just this little plastic piece right here. Alright, cool. So the idea is just that you want to have it as flat as possible in the middle, because you're going to end up sandwiching the little two bolts here right in the middle of that. So, you know, as flat, not totally gone, but that should be flat enough. Well, now that this is all trimmed down, we have to drill out the center hole right here to be big enough to fit this screwed, you know, the threaded part right here, because this is going to go right in the middle of this. So basically, get a drill bit as big as this one. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. And then I'm going to actually just put it right into the bracket here to hold it in place while I drill right through the middle of this guy to fit that threaded part. So let's do that right now. So I'm using a 5/16 inch bit. I'm going to go right through the middle of this guy. Okay, so now that we have this all assembled, we can just put our cable right back through the shielding right here, just like this. And then we can just screw our little nut in here. And that's pretty much it. We have our little blue clip right here, which will just clip right into the throttle pedal, just like that. And then that's basically the entire assembled portion for inside the cabin. And now we'll focus on this side, which goes into the engine bay. Alright, and there we have it all hooked up, and that's the inside, the cabin side of the pedal assembly all taken care of. I gotta figure out if I need this thing anymore. I know that Lexus has that weird thing where when you push the gas pedal all the way down, it like clicks this guy in. I'm not quite sure what the point of that is, but right now it seems to be a pretty good pedal stop. So I gotta figure out if I want to keep that when I get the car, you know, all set up. I'm probably gonna pull it out, but I need to do more research. And here's where the cable goes through the firewall into the engine bay. I got to figure out how to get this to the passenger side of the engine and then hooked up to the little bracket that I bought. So we'll pull this around to the passenger side. Probably going to go under my little brake booster line here. Like this. Like that. And then around, oh yeah, that's money. That'll definitely fit. All right, now that we have the cable inside the engine bay here, it just wraps around behind the engine, and we can basically just put it into our little bracket and then tighten this up like that, and then just attach the end here to the actual throttle plate. Whoops. Just like this. And that's almost done. The last step is going to be trimming this cable down so it's completely taut right here. I'm going to wait to do that until I have my ECU working, because I want to make sure that when my gas pedal is all the way to the floor, it's at 100% throttle, and when it's completely off, it's at 0%, and I don't want to cut too much of this cable off before then. So all you have to do to finish this on your own project is just to you know, take measurements, figure out how long this needs to be, cut it down, and just move this piece to where it needs to be right on the end. And then it just goes right into the plate like that. And that's pretty much it. One last thing I'm going to do is just take a little clamp, one of those little insulated clamps, and put it around the back part of the intake manifold here, to keep the throttle cable, you know, kind of in line. But, you know, I probably could trim a little bit off of my shielding here to make it a little bit shorter. But, you know, it isn't that big of a deal. I can do it again in the future, but that should be pretty much it. So I just put a little insulated bracket or a little clamp on both sides of the intake manifold here. Now I have the cable nicely secured and not flopping around anywhere. And the important thing is it still runs, you know, easily in and out of the shielding. So we should be in really good shape there. And then one last very important step, because I just took off 4 of the intake manifold bolts, is torquing them back down to the factory specs of 89 inch-pounds or about like 7¼ foot-pounds. So that's a pretty important step. I assume everyone knows how to use a torque wrench. If you don't, a friend of mine, Eric at Revmatch, does a really great installation or a tutorial on how to use torque wrenches, and I would really suggest heading over there and checking it out. I'll put the link up above right now. Alright, there we have the throttle cable all installed, running along to the back of the firewall there. I have my 2 little insulated clamps on both sides keeping it in place. And of course it's still, where's my hand there? Hand focus. And there's still plenty of slack there, so even though it's all bolted up back there, it all fits perfectly and has plenty of room to slide through the shielding there. And here's a sneak peek of my exhaust manifold, which came in yesterday. I'm really excited, they fit great. So I'll do an episode of this pretty soon. You know, they're not bolted up right now, they're just kind of resting on the spark plugs, but I'm really excited to get those guys installed. And then what else we got going on here? And here we have a piece to my intake, which is just now starting to come together. I don't have all the pieces in yet, but you can kind of see where that's going to end up going to the passenger side of the car there. So that's pretty exciting. Alright guys, that wraps up the episode. As always, thank you for watching. I know it's been kind of a slow process with me this past month and a half working on the car with this job that I'm doing. But the good thing is the job is being able to allow me to buy all the parts I need to start the car, so I'm really excited about that. I have this intake elbow right here, for example. I have my exhaust manifolds, oxygen sensors, all kinds of stuff, all on their way, so I'm really excited about that. Stay tuned for those episodes coming up. Now I want to talk about my featured ride segment. Last episode I asked people to send in clips or photos or information about their cars, and I had a couple pretty awesome replies. So these photos come from Jesse Luna, who is currently building up his 96 Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Now this is a NA front-wheel drive model, so it's not twin-turbo and not all-wheel drive, but I still love these cars and their sisters, the Dodge Stealth. Jesse already has a pretty good list of mods here, from 17x10 STR wheels, he's got ground control coilovers, long tube headers, and the list goes on. But what I'm really excited about is what he has next planned for the car. And that is that Jesse is swapping in an LS1 engine. He mentioned doing a junkyard engine swap into this car, which will be really incredible to see how he fits an LS1 under the hood. I've never seen that before, and it's super unique, and I'm really excited to follow his build. You can check out his channel at Rebels Garage, and there's a 3 in there somewhere, so make sure you get that right. I'll put the link in the description below. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. Like I just said, if you do want to have your car featured on Fully Spooled, send me an email to jeff@fullyspooled.com with your pictures, video, stats of the car, and then also your like YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. And I kind of want to do shout outs to you guys as well. So thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more Fully Spooled. There's a lot more coming up soon. As soon as I can work on the car, I'll do it and film it and upload it. So thanks for watching. Please do like, maybe subscribe. Share a video or two, and I'll see you guys next time.